This time on Shift Points, it's done. We're ready to go. Okay, we are officially a week away from Power Tour. Dad kind of started working on this thing before I got here today, so we did get a bit of a parts haul come in this morning. First off, we got a power port. This come from Holly. They were running a big clearance sale for Memorial Day, so we got some pieces. Power port that we can put in to that hole there. Right there. So that'll be good. We'll definitely need that with our phones and everything, cameras and all that good jazz. So we got that. We got some ducting. The picture definitely showed more than this. I don't know if this is enough to do both the defroster vents, but maybe it is. Hopefully it is. If not, we're definitely going to get the driver's side one fixed. The windshield wipers are supposed to be here later today. That's going to go to priority number 1 as soon as they get here. I'm going to go ahead and try and have this power port plugged in. I'll probably go ahead and pull out the old motor that's in here. Just go ahead and get that out of here. Get it out of the way. So that when it gets here, it looks like from the pictures I saw online that it should just basically be 2 bolts, holds the motor in place, attach the arms that are already attached to the windshield wipers, and wire it. That's what it should be, but let's see what that actually turns into. Yeah, so I've already started working on that. Dad's working on some seatbelt brackets. So we've been kind of talking about it for a while now, getting some seatbelts in this thing. Truck didn't come with seatbelts, so it doesn't have to have them, but we would like them for ourselves, especially. But with the seat here, he went ahead and cut some notches in here. We're gonna take and put some trim around this to keep that from wearing against the seat belts. But we reached out to a Retro Belt, which is where I got the seat belts for my truck. We got some of the aviation style belts here. So I'll show you those. You can kind of see them. So we got those. He's working on building some brackets. Again, this truck didn't come with any seat belts, so he's going to build some brackets that we can put in the truck so they've got a good solid hold down, and then those will get put in. So it's kind of a bit of haywire around here this morning, just trying to kind of get everything going. But yeah, so checking things off. We're getting there. I'm just going to keep plugging away at it. I'm hoping that windshield wiper motor gets here fairly soon. We can figure out what all needs to be done with that. But I'm going to go ahead and finish up this power port, get the wires run over there to it, and then pull the old windshield wiper motor out. So when while Dad's making these seatbelt mounts, we were going to talk about kind of what he had planned to do on that. First off, we didn't want to weld on the truck. We didn't want to have to go through, disconnect the computers and doing all that, making sure nothing. You've seen us do that, as we had to weld on it at different points, had to disconnect computers. Didn't want anything crazy to happen to that stuff. So we're going to bolt these in. Basically, what he's going to do, he's going to take. You can see this grid pattern here. These 4 sections here. He's going to cut those out, and those will have 2 holes in them each, and those will have bolts that go down through the floor. And then he's going to take this piece of rectangular tubing. That's going to get welded onto the center of one of these, and then that will let these will be mounted, if we're looking from the back of the truck, be like this. So the front of the truck will be that way. So this will get mounted like this. There'll be a notch cut out so that the seat belt tab can go in here. And basically how it'll work is this will get bolted to this piece of rectangular tubing like this. And like he was explaining to me, it works out well because instead of, if it was bolted flat like they normally are, then this has to go up and kind of twist to go to where it curves around you to, as it sits in your lap. Where this will go, and that will just allow this to come. It's as soon as it comes off of this piece, it's already running like this, perpendicular with the truck, so that it can go up and go around you, like it's supposed to. So he's going to work really well. But he's already got these pieces cut. He's got to cut the rectangular pieces here, and then get this welded in. I'll show you guys as he does it. So pretty much as soon as I got done filming that last little bit, the UPS guy came, and we have windshield wiper motors. This looks way better than what's in there, because what's in there is a little janky not much of a motor, and it barely would move them. You guys saw that. So this looks way better. So it is like I thought it was. 2 studs that go up in there. Got to figure out exactly where those go. I'm going to read the instructions before I get too carried away. Make sure I don't miss anything, because I'd like for this to go smoothly. And it's already grounded to this fixture here. So the only thing I have to do is connect power right there. And I already have a power wire made. So all I got to do is just crimp it together, which is great. And then this also has a switch. It's kind of a modern looking switch as far as that goes. So you can see that. But it also came with a knob that looks, that's just a little more plain Jane black knob. I think we can swap out. It'll look a little better. But I'm going to get in here and pull the old junk out. I will show you the power port real quick. I know it's nothing exciting, but this is in. I don't have the wires run yet. They're just hanging down here. They got to go over to the fuse panel into the ground strip. But that's in there. So, yeah, going to do that next. So I don't know if I'll be able to show you guys this very well. I'm kind of under the dash here trying to show you, but you can see the difference in this little motor that's in here versus what we have. And they took this piece of this metal, sheet metal bracket here, and luckily they used the existing mount that's up there that we actually need to put the new one in. So all I've got to do is take out the 3 screws, the 2 that are in the bracket, and then this last one here that is actually I don't have to do that. I only have to take out 2 screws. Take out 2 screws and we'll be ready to put the new one back in. So I've got one out already, and all I've got to do is do the other one, and we'll get this old one out, which should be way better. So the other thing that other than it just being slow and not working very well, this with the sheet metal here, it stepped it down too far, and it actually got the arms in a bind to where they were, you can see right here, they're actually rubbing into the top of the glove box here. So this is going to cure a few different things in one step. So now that we're outside of the truck, you can see what was in there. This like I said, kind of old, very slow acting 12-volt motor, and this piece of sheet metal that someone's used to make a bracket. So that's going to go in the trash. Also, I forgot to tell you the other day, but I wrung that bolt, that head of that bolt off, so made that pointless. Anyway, so I got that. We got that pulled out. I got the other one up in place. It's kind of held up in place, and realized that the pins where the wiper arms go on, here's the wiper arm, where they go on, they come with some new bushings. These are too small to go on those pins. So what you do whenever you have to do that is, to get those arms out, you just take this assembly off. This sits in there like that, and there was one nut on that, and you can see on the other end of that arm there's a threaded section. So Dad is now working on getting this bushing out, and he's going to put in the plastic bushing that came, well, whatever we're going to do. We're going to get this to where that wiper arm will go onto the pin on the motor, so that we can get this thing working. But in general, everything so far has went really well. The motor went up in place right where it was supposed to. The wiring is all there. I haven't hooked it up yet, but you guys saw all that already. But you can see under here how it all goes under there. It fits in there nicely. That bracket right there goes over to that cowl vent bracket, and it's going to support it. But I got as far as I could without getting those onto the pins and getting it adjusted. So probably while Dad works on that, I'm going to go ahead and run the power wire over here to this, so that we can do what we need to do. I'm probably going to go ahead and run the switch up there into the existing hole, because it actually goes right here in the dash. So probably go ahead and do that while he works on those arms, so that we can turn it on and make sure everything's adjusted where it's supposed to. 2 big jobs that I've already got kind of wrapped up. My neck and back are killing me from laying under this dash, but we finally got these windshield wipers how they need to be. Daddy, you want to come spray these while I run them so I can video it? These things work they work now. It took quite a bit of adjustment. The motor basically, if we'll use this piece right here for example, so basically how the arms attach are right here. When that came, this was basically running perfectly parallel, but I had to adjust it to where it was almost running like this so that we could get the full rotation. When we first put these in, and you saw when we turned them on, they were only moving, even at the end of the windshield wiper, maybe about this far. So I mean, it was basically useless. But we finally got these adjusted, and like I said, it was a bit of a pain. Daddy, you want to spray this while I run these so I can video it? But now, get in here, sit down. Dad'll spray it. I changed this knob over to the other knob that came with it, and if you see it, now we have full travel, which I think this is just about as good as it gets, and it's a 2-speed deal, so it'll actually do that, and that is pretty good. And the other cool thing, these things do park. They have a park, so if I have them up here and I turn them off, they will finish that travel, which is really good. Like I said, the adjustment and just kind of the location where they're under the dash, and you know, I've got to lay here and lay on the transmission tunnel and stuff like that. It's just hateful, really. So I still have to clean up the wiring, but we do have the wires run for it and all that stuff. So those are really good. We're really happy with them. I was initially not happy at all because, like I said, that travel was nothing. Then realized where the adjustment was. That seemed to help it. When I get back under here at some point to clean these wires up, I'll show you. I'll take a video of what it looks like with it in. So I've got to clean up all this stuff. I've got to clean up the power port wires, clean all this stuff up and get it bundled neatly, because all this is still, you know, just hanging down here like this. So get all that cleaned up, run over, get it into the fuse panel. Got to clean up the wires for the dome light as well. So still some work that has to happen under here, including the duct work for the defrost vents. So still plenty to do under the dash, but for now, very happy with the windshield wipers. So the other thing that Dad's worked on, and he got these built, those are the mounts that we're going to use. So that's that square tube, and he cut a notch in it to clearance for the belt. He's already got 2 bolts through this one. So that he got those painted last night and everything. So that's there. Like he said, this is kind of turned like this so that the belt can come out and around the seat like it needs to. So we'll have this one here. There'll be 2 in the center for the 2 holes you saw in the seat, and then that one will mount over there also. So this is all kind of coming together all at the same time. And now that I'm out of his way, now that I finally got the windshield wipers fixed, I'm out of his way, and we can work on getting this finished up. We'll have to jack it up to get under there to put nuts on the bottom side of these, but yeah, that's no problem. All right, I got the wiring kind of bundled up and cleaned up under the dash here. It's pretty good. It's not amazing. I might have to put a couple more zip ties on this, but anyway. But the main thing is that when we flip this ignition switch on, the windshield wipers wipe. They don't park so good if it's not wet, so that's something. We gotta get that down. I gotta put the other arm on as well, but the fan, that still blows, so that's good. And dang it, I didn't leave it on long enough. But also, the power port does work. Cigarette lighter will heat up if you let it sit here a little longer. There we go. So you can see that does also work. So that's good. Those are the 3 things that I needed to get cleaned up under here. That's all good. So yeah, so I need to put that, like I said, I need to get that other wiper arm on, make sure that we're in that park position, get that in place, test to make sure we're getting full travel on both of those, and those look good, and we should be good in here. I did go ahead and pull that dome light out. We got to figure out a different 2-pin socket for that, so that it doesn't ground out to the outside of the housing like it was doing, which is what was keeping it on all the time. That was a pretty big little job. I still have to run the ducting for the heater up for the defroster vents, so I do have to get under the dash one more time. While I'm under there, I'll show you kind of the finished product of the windshield wiper motor. We're back under this thing, under the dash. I put that new ducting that we got, which honestly is a little too big, but it should work. It runs over here to the driver's side. Defrost vent. Luckily, one of the pieces that we had that was in here was actually still in decent enough shape to reuse, because there was definitely not enough of it to make the turn and get up there to that defroster vent. So that's there, but what I really wanted to show you while I was under here was this setup for the motor, kind of how it finished up. We did end up having to trim a little bit of the, you can see that that's like a C-channel. This windshield wiper arm's kind of a C-channel. We trimmed some of that off to smooth it up to give a little more clearance, because that C-channel was hitting these this arm here that spins on the motor. So we cleared that, and when we did that, it smoothed everything up. Everything's a lot better, and we think it's going to work pretty well. And you guys have seen it run a couple times now. So as long as you keep them, you know, as long as it's pretty decently wet, it does good. It parks where it's supposed to. If that is not wet, if the windshield is not doesn't have some moisture on it, then they tend to park a little too high. But that's okay. You know, like I said, you shouldn't be running it unless it's raining anyway, so it shouldn't be no big deal. I'm gonna get out from under here, and I'm hopefully not gonna have to get under here for a long time. But everything is mostly, from what I can tell, I'm trying to make one like last look while I'm here. I think everything is bundled up and tied up good. So, all the wiring and everything. So, we get out of here. Dad's under the truck checking everything again, because we did jack it up, and we're going to drill the 4 holes for the seatbelt brackets and then get those put in place today also. So these are some really big important jobs that we had to get checked off. And if I can get out of here, I will go show you the list and get that checked off. Alright, back to the list. I'm going to fix the windshield wipers. Done. Install power port. Done. I'm gonna get this done today too, because that should be pretty quick. Get that knocked out. This is just tedious, just has to happen. This, need to take 3 bolts out of that e-brake pedal and then slide that down on it. Not a big job, just get that done. Shouldn't be a big deal. And then there's a couple of other little things that we've figured out. Some support, the rear supports on the rear fenders that go up to those cross seals. We need to make some standoffs to use those. Few other little things. As we come up with that stuff, I'll add it to the list, and then we can start marking that stuff off too. But man, I'm really happy. It's fairly early in the week, and as it stands right now, we have some big jobs knocked out. I do want to add some Dynamat to the firewall, so might try and do the rest of get that license plate wired. Maybe try and add some of that Dynamat to the firewall. Kind of see how much we have and how much we can put in different places, and see if we can seal this cab up a little more. So you guys saw us working on some different stuffs in that time lapse there. The big thing that I was working on there at the end was I was making a template to use for these door panels. The door panels that we have, they don't have any holes or perforations in them. Whenever they got covered, they didn't leave those open. So I made a cardboard template of that, put it up in here, and then punched these 6 holes in it, and we've actually tapped those for 1/4-20s as well. These look like the originals, and it looks like someone has went around the perimeter at some point and run some self-tappers or something, but we're going to use these 6 originals and run some 1/4-20 bolts through them, and like I said, that's tapped. So we're going to get some of those. When we didn't have those bolts here, we need to get some button head screws, bolts. Since we didn't have those, I went ahead and started working on something else, and that was getting some Dynamat in this thing. This should help a bunch. Dad's good friend Dale had this stuff left over from a project he was working on, and all this that's in here right now is actually just leftovers. I ordered some more. I'm going to put on the firewall. This should help with that H-pipe being right here. That H-pipe will be a lot of the heat that comes into the cab, so hopefully that will help with the sound a little bit more and help with the heat some as well. This stuff has went on really easily, to be honest. It's a lot more controllable than I thought it would. I thought it would be a lot like super tacky, so you have to be real precise when you put it in place, but you've got a buffer, and then once you start rolling it, that's when it really gets adhered really well. So that's what I've been working on since I ran out of, didn't have the screws to do the door panels. You guys saw me get the weather stripping finished up, and the other thing, like I said, with the Dynamat, we're just trying to kind of seal up this cab as much as possible. And Dad made this trim ring that goes around this motor that you saw. There was a pretty big gap around this. This fits pretty snugly on that motor, and then we use the 3 original screw holes there, put that in place. That should have that sealed up quite a bit. That's really what we've been working on the most, you know, with that the emergency brake boot. You saw that go in, stuff like that. Just trying to kind of seal off the cab as much as we can to help with heat, help with sound, all of that different stuff. The other thing that I don't think I've actually showed, these are the 4 seatbelt standoffs. So those are where those are going to end up being. That was the reason I did this Dynamat first, so we can go ahead and put the seat back in place, get the seatbelts put in, and then we can drive this thing because everything's ready for it to be driven some more. So we can drive this thing more, and then when my Dynamat comes in or whenever we want to, I can do the stuff on the firewall even with the seat in, so that's no big deal. So now that that's in, we can put the seat back in place, and then that kind of leaves us open to keep driving it, put miles on it. It was raining this evening, so we weren't able to drive it any today anyway, so that's what we've been working on. There's a lot of little tasks that have been going on, but that's just how it goes. So most of this stuff isn't like, we could leave right now if we needed to, basically. But this is just kind of those last little things that we wanted to get checked off, just to help kind of the looks and the function a little bit more. But tomorrow we will continue that. I'm going to try and work. We'll get the seat put in, like I said. I'll keep working on Dynamat. I'm sure there's a couple of other things that we need to get done. You saw I got the license plate light wired, so just little things that are kind of adding up here, but we should have all of it wrapped up by the time we're ready to leave if everything goes like it's supposed to. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Got the Dynamat into the firewall. I still got, so I put that one piece there, one piece here, and one piece over there. I've got some bigger pieces that are coming tomorrow. I don't think I really have any left enough to, I'm gonna finish that foot, the foot panel gap on both sides. That piece is just a little short. I'll take just a straight shot and fill that gap up there, and that's probably gonna do it for the firewall because that's where the most of the heat is. Up here it's really not getting that much. The biggest part is the exhaust that's basically right here. We're also probably losing a bunch, or getting a bunch of heat and sound from the transmission tunnel also. So when I get that big piece tomorrow, I'm going to take me a nice template, make a nice template of this, and lay over this big arch in the transmission tunnel. And then when I get the other pieces, I'm going to put it here in our feet. In worst case, we'll put some floor mats or something in here. This stuff's pretty durable, so I think it'll be okay even if we didn't run anything, but just anything to kind of get this sealed off, deadened a little bit, heat, you know, insulation, all that stuff. Yesterday I told you guys I was working on these door panels. We still don't have screws, but I didn't get to show you this template that I made. But this is basically what I did here. Used the existing holes from the door panel, made this. I'm going to tape it up in place, and you'll basically see kind of how that's going to fall. The reason I need to put this back up, I've already punched the holes that I need to in it, the 1/4 holes. I need to punch some holes here for this armrest because Dad actually made us a couple armrests that we can use. Had some aluminum here, and it built some standoffs so that you could also kind of be able to get your hand in here to help you pull the door shut too. So these will go on. So I need to get, like I said, they'll go on just like that, you know, your arm can rest like this. I gotta mark the holes and get them punched for this also. So I'm gonna do that next. Get at least that one in place, hopefully. I don't think I have the screw still, but at least maybe get it held up in place enough to kind of test to make sure everything fits how it's supposed to, and then that'll be that much done. So I wanted to quickly show you this. I used my template here, just laid it over this, got it lined up how I knew it was supposed to be, and then went ahead and marked my holes. So there's the armrest holes, and then here's the outer perimeter holes, how they're going to end up being. Dad has a punch that we can actually use, hopefully, just push over this and push over that and just mash through this, give us a nice clean hole. Probably have to give myself a little bit of a buffer. I'm sure those aren't just in the absolute perfect place. So I'm gonna kind of go just a little bigger than what we need to give ourselves just a little buffer. And worst case, we can put a small washer on them, you know, and do that. So shouldn't be no big deal. But that's kind of what that's gonna look like as we go forward. New plan, the hole punch was a little too narrow to put this thick stuff in. So I'm just gonna take a drill bit and drill through it. So something cool that Dad pointed out and I didn't really think about, I took that template from the passenger side and just didn't flip it around, but just brought it straight over here to this panel, and everything lined up exactly how it's supposed to, even the holes here and for the door handles, or for the armrest, I mean, sorry. So all of this is still there. I'm gonna take this template, throw it up there onto the other door panel, mark it, and drill that too. Realized that my microphone wasn't in for some of that other stuff that we talked about there a few minutes ago, so the sound quality wasn't great. Sorry about that. But it's in now. I wanted to show you the driver's side door panel. Got it put in place. Like I said, I was able to flip that template over and put it right in here. Got the armrest in here. These things are very sturdy. I think they go pretty well with the seat back how it is. So it's kind of a little bit of a running theme, the aluminum throughout. So that's all through here. This is in here. Dad had put a little Loctite on these handles here because they kept trying to come off. As you can see, these have seen better days, especially the window crank one. But anyway, so we went ahead and we put Loctite on these the other day, and when taking that door handle off, it stripped the threads out of, or stripped the shoulders out of the bolt or the set screw that was in it. But we did get it backed off enough just to be able to wiggle it, and he's been over there working on that. So he's got he drilled and tapped that, got that back going. He's gonna put a bolt in it. The other thing that I did was I went ahead and got some templates cut out for the floorboard for over there and for here. I still haven't 100% decided what I'm going to do with the battery box. I might, I don't know. I haven't decided yet. So I'll have to figure that out. If I can cut some extra, cover the whole thing, but then also leave a cutout for the handle, because that handle rotates and locks the door in place. I don't know. I have to figure that out. Don't know about that just yet. But yeah, so that has all of that stuff kind of taken care of. It is Wednesday. I don't know what day it is. It's a few days before Power Tour, so I think tomorrow we should easily be able to get this thing onto the ground, start driving it, get some more miles on it, see what a difference that this Dynamat has actually made. I'm pretty interested. I think it's going to be pretty substantial with the H-pipe, the Dynamat, the roof, the Dynamat, the floor. I think all of that should quieten this thing off quite a bit and hopefully help with the heat a little bit too. So the door panels definitely gave it a little bit more of a finished look. It's kind of like the headliner, just kind of wrap that up. And I think now I'm going to quickly jump up here, put that new housing in place that I got for the dome light, because that other one was shorting out like I told you guys, and check and make sure that that's going to work. There's no reason it shouldn't, but let's find out. It works very well. You can see that, like when I used to do it, if I shook that light like that, it would ground and it would turn on. So now that works like it's supposed to. Well, today is hopefully the day. This thing's coming off jack stands, and unless something breaks between now and the time that we leave, I think it's going to stay on the ground. We're just going to put miles on it. Today I got in here, my pieces of Dynamat came. I finished doing all the Dynamat in here. So I've got all in the floor on this transmission tunnel on this side of the floor, and strip on each side of the seat. I showed you guys, but there's also, it's under the seat and behind the seat. So all the floor, firewall, the exhaust runs basically right here, and the same place over on the other side. So you can tell that should make a big difference on heat and sound and all of the above. Excuse me. So that's all done, wrapped up. I need to tighten up the bolts in the transmission tunnel, and I need to put the wheels and tires on it. Mom and Dad just pulled up. They went and got some tools, some cheap tools that we could take with us, and a few other things that we needed to take with us. And I think, like I said, I think, unless something goes wrong or Dad reminds me of something when he gets in here, that's everything. And yesterday you guys saw us get the door panels installed, so I'm going to go ahead and mark that off. And that completes our list, and then some. There's actually some stuff we did that wasn't even on this list, including that Dynamat all over everything. So, the list is done. We're ready to go. I'm going to take this thing down. We're going to go drive it. The other thing Dad got while he was out, he got a few little tools and stuff for us to use, but with some new plug wires. I read online that these are supposed to be really good, these Edelbrock's MaxFire Elites. They're 453s, 50 ohms resistance, made in the US. Everyone says you can tell the difference when you put them in. You can even feel the difference. So, I guess we're going to find out. Maybe it was just propaganda. I don't know. But they got them to buy it. We got us to buy them, so I guess it worked. Let's find out how these do. He's going to go ahead and throw them in while it's still up on the jack stands, since it's a little easier to reach. We're putting the plug wires on this thing and saw something kind of weird. When we pulled the original plug wires off of this thing, remember we replaced that coil on number 7, and we tried to plug this new plug wire in, and man, it just would not go. Dad took a mirror, and I took a flashlight, and we were able to see there was something up in it, and it looks like, I don't know if you guys can see this piece or not, this is actually a part of the old plug wire. So you can see that's like basically a two-piece deal in there. Well, one part of it had broken, what looks like off of the original plug wire, because this is the one we had on it. It was just one we had laying around to get us going. It's still together, so it must have been off the original one, and that piece was in there. It was holding, it would let that one clip up on, but for some reason it wouldn't let these new ones clip on. So let's see if it'll go on now. But kind of a weird little something we found. It wasn't missing or anything like that, so it must not have been causing too much of a big deal, but it definitely would not let that plug wire clip up on there, and I just heard it clip. And it went up through there fine now, so something to be aware of, I guess. Weird. Well, it's on the ground again, hopefully for the last time, unless something major happens between now and Monday morning. The only thing that we've got left, we did get these plug wires put on. I showed you guys that little weird deal we found in the coil of the other piece of the plug wire. I got those on. Be curious to see how those do compared to what everybody on the internet says they would do. The only other thing that we have left is packing up some tools. We're going to bring a little toolbox of stuff. These are some bars to go into the bed to kind of keep everything in place. A little air compressor and stuff like that. The other thing that we kind of need to do is we have a bed cover we're going to put on this thing. So it's just this material with the Velcro. It goes around the perimeter. The Velcro goes around the perimeter and goes down here on the bottom of the bed rails, and then down the bottom of the tailgate. And that's supposed to keep moisture out and things like that, and kind of waterproof this. I think it'll look good with the truck, but that's basically purely functional. We're just trying to make that as functional as we can. That's the only thing we've got left, is getting that thing put on. We get it put on, and then it's just packing up and driving this thing for the next few days. Get it ready for Monday, and we're ready to go. We're excited. bed cover is officially on. It's pretty good. I think it should do okay. It's got a little bit to it, but it's really kind of as tight as we can get it, I think. But I think it's going to work as we want it to. Nice thing is that Velcro rolls down here below this bar, so it should keep all the water out of here as much as it would. So that's great. This guy's back. He wanted to put some wax on this thing before we left, kind of keep it a little protected. So that paint is pretty fragile, as you guys have seen. So that's actually going to be the last thing that we do before it's ready to go. At least for now. I just keep saying that.
Until tomorrow morning.
Until tomorrow morning, we'll think of something else that we should have done or whatever. But for now, we're going to wax this thing, and that should be the last thing. Fingers crossed. If anyone would have told me 6 months ago when we started this project that it would take as much time and honestly money and effort as it has taken, I think I would still do it, even knowing what I know now. It's not often that you get to work every evening with a really good friend, and that really good friend be your dad. This channel has been a lot of fun. Has been really a lot of fun to work on and do this. And I hope that everyone that's been watching us so far has enjoyed it, because this is kind of the goal that we've been going to, and the plan is to be doing videos each day of Power Tour. So thank you guys for joining. Thanks for watching. We'll see you Monday.